Hey guys, I'm Chris.
Hey everybody, I'm Robert.
And we're the Film Flamers.
And we hope that you all enjoyed that episode last week where we talked about that perfect mother-daughter combination of Carrie and Margaret. So functional, so perfect. And now we're going to bring you something also functional and perfect.
It's certainly a movie.
That's right. We're talking about The Rage, Carrie 2.
That's right.
So The Rage, Carrie 2, is a 1999 American supernatural horror film directed by Kat Shea, who directed Poison Ivy. It's a sequel to the 1976 horror film Carrie, based on the 1974 novel of the same name by Stephen King, and is the second film in the Carrie franchise.
The film stars Emily Bergl, Jason London, Dylan Bruno, J. Smith Cameron, with a guest shot by Amy Irving herself, reprising her role as Sue Snell from the original movie. Originally titled The Curse, it was officially scheduled to start production in 1996, but the project stalled over 2 years. When the film eventually went into production under the title Carrie 2, Say You're Sorry, the original director quit a few weeks into production over creative differences, and Kat Shea had to come on board with a mountain of work to do.
Carrie 2, Say You're Sorry. Okay, everybody, drop trowel. This is The Rage, Cassie 2.
It's Carrie 2.
We're all very sorry about this sequel, Cassie.
It's Carrie!
Romeo and Juliet, a tale of star-crossed lovers, pulled apart by their families, by society, and some might say, by fate. Now, why is it that we are so moved by love that ends with separation?
I don't know that I believe in it.
Believe in what?
Love?
Who would love her?
At your age, it's perfectly normal to be afraid of turning out like your parents. Is that scary for you?
All your life, you've known that you were different.
Must be nice not having to be like everybody else.
Sometimes I really wish I could just be one of the shiny, happy people, you know?
Come on, this girl's just a skank. You don't even know her. What, you do?
Yeah, I do know her.
The others don't understand you.
At least be seen with someone cool, someone who counts.
Maybe somebody needs to teach the two of them a little lesson.
And they
Rachel?
don't want you around.
If you want to talk out your feelings...
No!
Well, to hell with them.
So you want to know how I'm feeling today? When Rachel was growing up, did you ever see objects move by themselves? What is wrong with this picture? You've heard of Carrie White, haven't you? 73 people died night of the prom.
Next semester.
Rachel!
Terror
Dude, it's her! It's her doing it!
runs in the family. The Rage, Carrie 2.
Man, we missed another killer party.
One night, an obviously insane young woman, Barbara Lang, paints her house red to protect her obviously telekinetic daughter, Rachel, from demons, but police and an ambulance arrive during her home renovations. She's institutionalized, and Rachel's taken away to live with foster parents. Years later, Rachel, played by Emily Bergl, is now 18 and fairly introverted, save for her one friend Lisa, played by Mina Suvari, with whom she shares a matching tattoo of a rose and thorns. One day on the bus, Lisa tells Rachel that she'd lost her virginity over the weekend. She doesn't tell Rachel who the boy was, but it was a popular football player, Eric, played by Zachary Ty Bryan. She gives Rachel a roll of film to develop to find out who the lucky guy was, because it's the 90s. Little does Lisa know that she's just another mark in a notebook where the popular football players record their conquests. You see, these douchebags assign points to the many girls they sleep with, and the Captain Mark, played by Dylan Bruno, is the keeper of the book. Eric rejects Lisa at school, and she commits suicide by flinging herself off of the school's roof. This triggers Rachel's dormant telekinetic abilities, causing the lockers to open. School counselor and our favorite prom massacre survivor, Sue Snell, played by Amy Irving, talks with Rachel about Lisa's death and the fact that she's spent a little time at the same hospital where Rachel's mom is a patient. Upset by the conversation, Rachel causes a mug to fall off Sue's desk and crash to the floor. This isn't Sue's first rodeo, so she puts on her detective hat and visits Barbara Lang at the mental institution. She learns that Rachel and the late Carrie White have the same father, because connections between movies are necessary. Eric is concerned that he'll be blamed for Lisa's death and confides in Mark that Lisa has taken a photo of the two of them. Mark says he'll deal with this, and along with fellow teammate Jesse, played by Jason London, they visit Rachel at her after-school job at the local photo shop because it's the 90s.
What a stupid job.
A drive-through photo development shop.
I think they walked up to it. How do you walk up to that window and be like, where's my pictures, please?
Rachel has just developed Lisa's film and has seen the picture in question. Mark tries to bribe her for the photo by offering to take her out, but she refuses. Instead, she gives the picture to Sue and Sheriff Kelton, played by Clint Jordan, who wants to charge Eric with statutory rape. That evening, Rachel's dog is hit by a car, and while Jesse happens to be driving by, he's available to take them to an animal clinic where they learn that the dog will be A-OK. Jesse and Rachel share a nice chat at the local coffee shop because it's the 90s. When the douchey football players learn what Rachel did with the picture, they go to her house late at night and attempt to scare her by turning off the power and making an obscene phone call. Eric tries to enter through a window, but Rachel uses her mind to slam it on his hand.
Yeah.
Sue again meets with Rachel and tries to explain what her powers are, and that there are places that study it. Rachel isn't having it, and uses her mind to break a snow globe on Sue's desk. So, Sue takes her on a little field trip to her old burned-down high school, where she tells her the story of Carrie White, but Rachel continues to deny her abilities. Jesse decides to pursue Rachel, which angers his ex-girlfriend, Tracy. When Rachel confronts Jesse about the prank pulled by his teammates, he denies knowing anything about it, and Rachel agrees to go out with him. The charges against Eric are dropped when his rich daddy throws a fit, but Mark and his girlfriend, Monica, plot to humiliate Rachel for what she did. Mark offers the use of his parents' cabin to Jesse so he and Rachel can spend the night together. Though grounded, Rachel sneaks out to watch Jesse play footballs and gets invited to a party with the popular kids. Jesse's late to the party when his ex Tracy holds him up. At the party, Rachel feels like she's accepted, but suddenly she appears on the TVs. Someone recorded she and Jesse having sex and is now broadcasting it to everyone at the party. Mark reveals their sex notebook and shows her that she was just a score to Jesse, along with her dead best friend. Rachel has had E-fucking-nuff. Her tattoo thorns spread throughout her body for some reason, and she becomes Dark Phoenix.
Calm down, Gene White.
As her power is triggered, she closes the doors so no one can escape. She shatters windows, sending glass flying into the partygoers. Others are killed when Rachel sends CDs flying through the air, because it's the 90s. Soon, the entire house is on fire and people are freaking out. Sue arrives with Rachel's mom randomly in an attempt to calm her down, but Sue has come just at the wrong time. Rachel sends a fire poker at a boy's head, killing him, and Sue right on the other side of the door. Mark, Eric, and Monica arm themselves with random harpoon and flare guns and attempt to confront Rachel in the backyard. Rachel shatters Monica's glasses all up in her eyes, who then accidentally shoots Eric in the balls with her spear gun. Mark shoots Rachel with a flare gun, and she falls into the pool, using her powers to extend the pool cover. She pulls Mark in with her, drowning him, but frees herself from the pool cover with his spear gun.
So handy.
Jesse and Tracy finally arrive to see the destruction firsthand. Rachel kills Tracy by making the ceiling collapse. Jesse attempts to get Rachel to leave, but he notices the video playing. He says he didn't know it was being recorded, but Rachel doesn't believe him until she witnesses on the screen saying he loved her while she was sleeping. When the ceiling above them starts to collapse, she moves Jesse just in the nick of time, but is pinned down herself. Jesse tries to save her, but after they share a kiss, she sends him flying away safely to the covered pool below. Rachel succumbs to her injuries and dies in the burning house. 1 year later, Jesse's attending university with Rachel's dog. He studies one night as Rachel enters the room. They kiss before she explodes into ashes. Jesse awakes from his nightmare and looks at himself in the mirror, where he keeps a picture of Rachel.
The end?
We love it when there's a question mark at the end of our synopses.
I mean, I assume there could be a Carrie 3.
In certain cases.
But let's not, shall we? Wow, there's a lot going on in that really terrible movie. So Carrie 2 was released on March 12th, 1999, my freshman year in college. It opened second in the box office that weekend with an opening debut of $7 million. It opened behind Analyze This, and other movies that topped the box office that weekend include Cruel Intentions, Baby Geniuses, and The Deep End of the Ocean, Chris's favorite cry.
It is. And I was actually I was a sophomore in high school.
Great. Thank you for that. Now I'm feeling the rage, Carrie, too.
Yeah. So it hit me at the right time, I guess. But the movie would fall out of the top 10 by its third week, and it would eventually go on to earn $17 million against a reported budget of $21 million, making the film a box office disappointment.
Wah, wah. Carrie 2 has a 22% on Rotten Tomatoes. And holds an audience score of 33%. The site's consensus reads, as disposable as its predecessor is indispensable, The Rage Carrie 2 mimics the arc of Stephen King's classic story without adding anything of value. It has a Metacritic rating of 42, indicating mixed or average reviews.
I love that. As disposable as its predecessor is indispensable.
It is by far possibly one of the best site consensus we've ever read on our show.
Roger Ebert gave the film 2 out of 4 stars, stating, "The original Carrie worked because it was skillful teenage drama grafted onto a horror ending. Also, of course, because De Palma and his star, Sissy Spacek, made the story convincing. The Rage Carrie 2 is more like a shadow." Well, that was very kind of him.
Dennis Harvey of Variety panned the film, noting that it uses the original as a blueprint, but leaves out all the wit, sympathy, and bravado. Okay.
Yeah, I think it was missing a few things, but it did have some accolades.
That's right.
That's right.
At the Saturn Awards, it was nominated for Best Performance by a Younger Actor or Actress, and that's Emily Bergl.
I thought she did all right, yeah. At the Fangoria Chainsaw Awards, it was also nominated for Best Actress.
And at something called the Stinker Awards.
You couldn't even afford a raspberry?
I know. This is just like the like poorer cousin of the raspberries, I guess, the Stinker Awards. It won Worst Prequel or Sequel.
It has developed a cult following despite its, critical failings, and many fans argue that it was unfavorably compared to the original, rather than being taken by its own merit, and some even prefer it to the original. Who? Well, some people are wrong. Some people are wrong about things, which,
When I think about the people who prefer this to the original, I feel the rage, Carrie, too. I just do. Although, again, we say, everyone's entitled to their own opinions, and that's great, So if this is, your favorite movie and you like it better than the original Carrie, that's perfectly fine.
Well, honestly, outside of the people that made the film, the director and the writer who never wrote anything, as far as I know, after this, the cast actually went on and had a great career for most of them. I feel like Emily Bergl has been through a shit ton of things in her career, including Mindhunter recently on
Which
Netflix.
I totally forgot until you brought it up. I had to have that recovered memory. But yeah, she appears to have a huge career with television.
Yeah, and Jason London, her love interest in the film, he went on to do a billion TV shows.
Yeah, well, and he was in lots of movies in the 90s too, right? He's in so he was in Dazed and Confused in the early 90s, right? And so he really caught fire after that and just was in a ton of everything, right? You just could not escape Jason London. Or I think he also had a twin too. So there's just all kinds of Londons running around in movies.
Yeah, it also had people like Zachary Ty Bryan, who was the oldest kid from Home Improvement.
Mm-hmm.
Right? That popular 90s sitcom. And then also Mina Suvari, of all people, who had the best 1999 of anyone ever, I think, because she had, I don't know if they all came out in 99, but thereabouts, right? And then there was American Pie, American Beauty, and of course later on she was an American Horror Story. So she just likes to be in America, apparently.
She was really good in American Beauty. I thought her character was good, right? I like that movie a lot too. And Mina Suvari is probably the most likable person from American Pie, aside from Allison Hannigan.
I don't know, she's I don't know if she's considered a great beauty, but for some people, famously, she looks weird. Right. So I was watching this with Matt, and the first thing he said is is she an alien?
Well, I think that people who look different, right? Outside of like normal beauty or whatever. I really enjoy that.
No, that's true beauty to me. Like the people that actually have something interesting going on with their faces, like
cow eyes,
cow eyes. Frances McDormand, for instance.
Yes,
or, people that have a little bit unique beauty, right? Mm-hmm. Like Mina Suvari is a really good example of that. But it might go in like one direction a little too far, and look like an alien sometimes. But that's like who is it? Fucking Amanda Seyfried or something,
Yeah, I mean, I think she's really pretty too. So
maybe that's cow eyes. Anyway, whatever. All of these people are beautiful people.
Well, I think it's exceptionally beautiful, actually.
Yeah, yes. So,
but I think one of my favorite actresses from this movie is Rachel Blanchard, who played Monica, right?
Yeah, she was kind of like a bit part. She did have she did steal the scenes whenever she was in them, but she plays like the ex-girlfriend's best friend that was like the linchpin in all the evil plans.
Yeah, she was there like front and center, like making all the plans. And she was a good, mean girl.
She was like an evil Marcia.
Yes.
Marcia. But she had like the glasses on and everything. But I think it was to tone her down to where she wouldn't be maybe as pretty as the main ex-girlfriend.
Yeah.
But she went on to play Cher in the TV version of Clueless.
And that boggles my mind because when I was watching this, I was like, God, I've seen her in other things and I just could not place it. I didn't bother to look her up. But I mean, thankfully you told me. And I was just like, yes, she did play Cher in that TV show.
Yeah. But lest we forget, Amy Irving came back as Sue Snell.
That's right. Our favorite final girl from Carrie, well, the only final girl from Carrie is why she's final, is back.
87 years later.
After doing some time at that institution, now she's a counselor herself.
Now, interestingly, she did go back and ask for permission from De Palma to do this, and she got his blessing. Yeah,
I wonder if she regrets. I don't know. I mean, like, if you get to revisit a character, I don't know. I mean, you get to revisit a character that you played so long ago. I'm sure that, she sort of leapt at it or whatever, but I don't know. I mean, and as we get into the movie a little bit, I think like this movie just plays fast and loose with its connections, right? Yeah. And that's just one of them for me.
Yeah. So I don't know much about the background into how this got made and if Stephen King was like contacted at all to write a script or a sequel or to approve one. Like I've seen zero evidence of any Stephen King involvement and I can't find it anywhere. Like there's no, maybe if I found like an original DVD of this, maybe there would be some sort of like bonus content about how this really got made, but I have my suspicions.
It's not the first time that a sequel has been made to Stephen King's work. Right. Yeah. I mean, we have like Pet Sematary 2 and things like that. So,
well, if we think about last week's episode and we know that he sold the rights to Carrie, and I don't know how long that is. Obviously, these people have the rights and didn't have to include him at all. So what I'm thinking is based on kind of the current events or the earlier events in the 90s, they were going to make this thriller or horror film about kind of that, but make it, attach it to one of the properties they might own.
Yeah.
Right. So I think they were just like, something that even still happens today with the Cloverfield. Like they'll just attach that name to different random movies to make more people watch it. Right. So I think that's part of what this was being like, what if one of these girls had the ability to like have revenge on these people that were kind of like preying on them, this toxic masculinity, and what do we have on our properties that can like make this movie like go further? And we have this Carrie franchise we could try and do something with.
Yeah, but that's so weird to me, though. We're talking like 23 years later. They're going to make a sequel to Carrie, right? And they're going to market it to like 90s teens who may or may not have seen Brian De Palma's Carrie, Yeah. Obviously, I think that Stephen King is a big enough of a household name. And I think Carrie is too, to like sort of like try the concept of a sequel. But
well, maybe in the late 90s, Stephen King adaptations were there, but they weren't great. A lot of them, right? And some TV stuff was happening, but really he's not what he is today.
No, then. I mean, the renaissance that has happened now is much better than stuff that we got.
Yeah, he was a household name maybe, but I mean, he wasn't anything like he is today as far as like the notoriety and the adaptions that we have enjoyed over the last, 5-10 years. But the kind of the events that I'm talking about has to do with the Spur Posse. But before I get into that, we should mention that the author of this, it was written by Raphael Moreau, who actually wrote the movie Hackers. which is another quintessential 90s film.
I have not seen that movie I haven't even thought about that movie in quite
Angelina
some
Jolie.
time. That's right. And like her first big role, right? And then she went on to do Gia after that. I haven't thought about Hackers in forever.
I need to see Gia too.
Gia's so good.
I love the Hacker soundtrack when it was out, like in the 90s.
I loved all like
Prodigy in there.
Yes, every time a movie came out in the 90s I was excited about, the first thing I did was like look and see what songs were on the soundtrack. God, I miss the 90s so much.
Yeah,
Jesus.
a lot of great soundtracks. They first started like bringing in bands to do stuff and like really do some inventive things. Like the Spawn soundtrack is a good example of that.
My favorite soundtrack of all time is I Know What You Did Last Summer. I listen to it all the fucking time.
Yeah, but so outside of Hackers and this film, I don't think Raphael ever wrote another movie as far as I can find.
Well, I mean, I think you kind of found this one anyway.
So I don't know, but you'd think the studio would first, maybe he came up with this idea in the studio, but it's like, how do you come to this without actually contacting Stephen King? So I don't know. I don't know the story. We don't know it. It's the information's not out there. If anyone has the access to that information and knows it, let us know. We'd be interested to know.
I'm going to tweet at Stephen King after we're done recording and see what he says.
Yeah. Well, I actually haven't done any research to see if there's anything floating around with quotes or tidbits about what he had to say about The Rage, Carrie 2.
I mean, I think at some point he's just like humbled that people are making movies about his material, right? So he's not going to say anything like super negative or positive if he doesn't really care that much.
I mean, he did direct Maximum Overdrive. What could he possibly say about this movie?
Oh my God, Emilio, calm down. It's a good movie. Tell me about the Spur Posse, though. I mean, I'm a huge true crime fanatic, and I don't really know what this is based on, really.
So yeah, the plot heavily borrows from the real-life 1993 incidents in which a group of high school jocks known as the Spur Posse were involved in a sex scandal, right? So the Spur Posse was a group of high school boys from Lakewood, California, who used a point system to keep track of and compare sexual attacks and statutory rapes. And the founder of the group chose the name Spur Posse when, of course, one of their favorite basketball player of theirs, David Robinson, signed with the San Antonio Spurs. Oh my God, that's the only reason they call it that, right? It's so typical. Gross. The group came to national attention on March 18th, 1993, when the Los Angeles County Sheriff's Department arrested a number of the members for various sexual crimes. Prosecutors later dropped all but one of the charges after being unable to prove most of the encounters were non-consensual, although many were with underage girls, some as young as 10.
What?
Yeah. Well, these guys were like 16 to 18 having sex with like, I don't know if they're like attributed higher points to the younger the girl or something, but that would have been like, there's some stories of like one girl said that she was in bed late at night when a teenager appeared at her window and demanded sex from her, and she complied because of the rumors that the Spurs would harm women who resisted.
Oh my fucking God.
Yeah. So police had the opportunity to prosecute the considerably older boys for statutory rape, but they declined to do so. Right. So members of the Spur Posse proceeded to make the rounds on tabloids and the TV talk show circuits.
So we made them fucking celebrities.
Right. So, I mean, and this shit's still happening, right? Like the dumpster rapist guy at the school, like, and then there's another guy that like ran over people, like I think in Texas here.
Yeah,
it was like
Arlington,
was called
right here. Yeah,
affluenza or whatever, and it's just like, oh, you're gonna ruin this person's life, and it's just like, well, fuck you, ruin their life. They ruined other people. They killed people.
Already ruined. Someone
They raped 10-year-olds, ruined their fucking lives.
Good God. Okay, I
fucking
mean, like,
privilege.
For real, this is ridiculous, and I think like. Watching this movie, I think that they sort of like gloss over the note keeping, right? Yeah, it's like the impetus for what, causes everything to happen. But by and largely, like they don't really focus on that too much.
No, it's really a catalyst. Disgusting. It's a catalyst. And I could feel like they were trying to give women back their agency here just by like putting, obviously violence with violence, not justice. Right. And so I feel like this kind of thing got twisted. It should have been, a message movie, a drama, or even a thriller or something, it could have been a really good Fincher movie or something, in my opinion. But the way they did it and turning it into like, it really should have been its own thing. They put two things together that shouldn't have been together into one movie. and it doesn't really work. I feel like it needed that whole list making thing, the statutory rape thing, should have been much more of a focus. But I don't know, like it's hindsight too, because this movie almost is more relevant now.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, if this movie were made and released today, I think they would have made it a little differently. I think they would have really focused on that, you know, like during the Me Too movement, right? I think this movie is very present in today's conversation, right? And not to say that it wasn't in the 90s too. I think that we were starting to really, you know, come to know like how often people are date raped and things like that, right? And so they were trying to use that as a catalyst in the movie, like you said. The thing that bothers me the most is the connections that you brought up, right? They try so hard to connect this movie to Carrie.
Yeah.
And it would have just been a better movie without any of that. It's okay to have two different telekinetic girls in two different movies. Just call it The Rage.
Yeah. And I think they just, like I said, they just wanted to piggyback on that brand, you know, so people would go flock to the, you know, to the box office.
To the megaplex.
You know, which is something that some franchises have been very brave not to do. Like Dr. Sleep could have been The Shining 2, Dr. Sleep.
Yeah.
You know, but they decided not to do that, although some of the marketing, you know, steered that way. You know, but still, it was fairly brave of them to do that. And, you know, obviously it didn't make as much money as we would have wanted it to. But, you know, still, the career of the people involved in making that film is going in the right direction.
That's true. And I mean, unlike
these people. Because it was a really good fucking movie, regardless of how much money it made.
But it did suffer the same, right? So we're talking about low box office for Carrie 2 and low box office for Dr. Sleep. And again, we're talking about making a sequel for a movie 20 or 30 years later, right? Where it's maybe not quite omnipresent in people's minds. Yeah. So I just don't know. Like, so I saw Carrie 2 in the theater, right? Did you as well?
Wait, I'm trying to decide if more time has passed since Carrie, the Rage Carrie 2 to now than the original Carrie to the Rage Carrie 2. And I think it's passed more time.
Oh my God, that's way too much math and it just makes me feel super old. So
22 years since this movie came out.
Yes.
And before
23
that,
years. So Carrie came out in 76. So yeah. Right around the same time.
Whatever, it's right in the middle. Fuck.
But yeah, I was super ready to see Carrie 2. I was a sucker in the 90s too. I mean, I obviously like horror movies, but I mean, anytime they had some flashy marketing campaign, I also already liked Carrie and Stephen King. So I was super ready to go see this movie in the theater. And, I didn't watch it again after that until we decided to record about it. So,
you know, I don't even actually think I watched this until I was in college. Like, I don't think I picked it up until I was like, you know, surfing in a Blockbuster somewhere.
Really?
Yeah.
No, I paid good money to see this movie in the theater.
Maybe I did too. I'm not sure. But I think I waited. I think I waited until I was, you know, a little bit older. But even still, it was still like 2000, you know, or 2001 when I saw it.
Yeah.
At the latest, you know, and it wasn't quite as aged. I don't remember it being this age, this 90s. Like Carrie seems less aged than this. Like, you know, the things that are you know, iconic, you know, and classics somehow seem less aged. You know, but this is so reliant on all of the little quirks of editing and look and feel and music and like technology. And it's so flaunting of all those things that's what ages it so hardcore.
Yeah, you cannot name drop in movies. You can't be like, don't they have any good music here? Like some garbage? Shirley Manson rocks. You can't just do that.
or kill people with CDs.
Yes. You know, I mean, I love Shirley Manson and I love garbage and I always will, but I love them because I grew up in the 90s, you know? So you can't just like drop names like that and expect people 22 years later to be like, who? What?
Yeah, I'm glad that like Carrie in the 70s or like Piper Laurie was on like, I love the Bee Gees. Or, you know?
Exactly. I mean, like everything in that movie, the original Carrie feels timeless, you know, and like this movie doesn't. It feels very timeful of that particular time period.
Yeah. Unless you say something like I love Cher, which is, you know, timeless, I guess.
Yes, she'll forever be timeless. I mean, do you believe in life after Cher? I certainly don't. Yeah, but I mean, like, even like dating the movie itself, like it really just boils down to script to me, right?
Yeah.
The dialogue in this movie is kind of ridiculous.
Some of it is very much so, yes.
I mean, I think my favorite part is where Rachel's talking to Jesse and she's like, but you have a real talent. You have football. You know, I was just like,
yeah,
nobody would say that.
The writing is the real enemy of this movie because, like, I feel like they were trying to make Sue Snell kind of a Miss Collins character, but she seemed ridiculous because the way it came across in the script and kind of in the performance was like, hey, you need to be studied versus like, I'm going to help you or take care of you. It came through as trauma from her. And I guess that was written in, you know, and that she wanted to protect herself and the other students more than she wanted to protect Rachel. You know, and so like that whole thing was missing. And then they tried to kind of bring back this whole like familial trauma thing going on with like the foster family. Yeah. But that only happened kind of at the beginning. And I feel like the original movie, Carrie, was complex enough with its familial drama, you know, to have that drama all the way through and kind of end cap it with that.
Yeah, it was a huge part of that movie.
If she had come home and had like some sort of confrontation with her foster family or something else, I don't know, kill her dog accidentally. I don't know, something to kind of end cap it, you know, because it was very, very simplistic compared to the original Carrie as far as like emotionally themed.
And when they did include her mother in this movie, it was so very like
stupid.
Yeah, like why? You know, and the whole subplot about Rachel being, you know, Carrie's half sister or whatever, they had the same father.
Yeah,
white.
Her father was a whore, and
I mean, I was just like, we don't have to do any of that. I mean, you don't have to connect all these dots. I think people are smart enough to see Carrie too and not have to be like, well, it's the same dad and the male's the carrier for this gene or whatever. I was like, you're doing too much. Just calm down just a little bit. We get it. Okay. It's okay.
What else can we shit on in this movie?
I know. I mean, I hate it when we like shit on movies so fully. I don't really hate this movie, really. You know, I mean, I
actually really liked it when it came out, like a lot more than I do now, at least. I think I would have given it at least like a 3.5 back when it came out, but now I'm giving it I'm not going to spoil our leader.
We have questions. Yeah. Just hold on. You hold on to that rating, okay? Yeah. But I think the better part of both of these movies is, you know, the massacres, right? I think that's what you come for, the drama and love, but you stay for the massacre, right? Mm-hmm. And you can't have a Carrie movie without killing a bunch of people at some sort of like party.
Yeah, and it was like a random party. There was no real significance to the community for it at all. And so it was like, it had less meaning than, you know, Carrie's did. It was less of an event. It was more of like a random thing. So like the Rich Boy Mansion versus the high school gym, you know, it didn't even compare. And it's so much more traumatically filmed and stylistically done in the original Carrie, even though it's like half as bloody, or not as bloody at all. It's somehow much more horrific in the original film than this one.
Yeah, I completely agree with you. I think that just because like this was sort of like Carrie's first time being around some of these people in a social setting, right? Rachel knew these people. I mean, and I don't know, like you said, the party was sort of like insignificant. It's sort of like they had the party just to like, you know, tease her or bully her.
Or it was just like a typical Friday party or parents out of town party, you know, and they just hijacked it to just like ruin this person's life.
I will say, I think I'm having a recovered memory right now, watching this movie. Okay. And I was, because you're waiting for like the destruction, right? And I will say that my 19-year-old mind back then was just like, yes, people are getting killed with CDs. And it seemed a little bit more technical and explosive and violent, right? And I was okay with that. But I mean, even the party scene gets a little silly sometimes. Who has fucking spear guns in their house?
You know, where the fucking harpoons come from?
Yeah, I mean, like, I'm gonna buy some now just in case. Guns. But, I mean, but who has this shit? And then, like, why would you grab that? They're like, okay, let's get these spear guns and the flare gun, and we're gonna get her. I mean, like, come on now. But yeah, I mean, like, some of the deaths were a little bit, you know, better, but
yeah, I still kind of wince at the glasses breaking into her eyeballs.
Oh my god, that's the best. That's the best part, where she makes those glasses break. The thing is that I don't wear glasses and you do, so it's a little closer to home, I think, right?
To me, the best part of this movie is probably the romance, right? They did up the romantic tragedy more than the original film, I think. And it's almost more believable because the guy is kind of in love with her.
Yeah, I think he is very much in love with her. He says it a lot.
And so he's very earnest about that. And I think our two performers here were really, really good about selling that romance and interest in each other. And I believe it. And I just wish they had done more with that or focused more on that versus like all the stupid 90s crap or the familiar crap, trying to like tie it to Carrie.
Exactly.
They should have, held it a little bit closer to the chest, left it a little bit more of a mystery, like make it a possibility and never show us her mom and the stupid...
Yeah.
Ugh. Anyway, whatever.
I mean, they really made some artistic choices in that prologue, right? So I mean, like we're treated to a very interesting opening of this movie, and like there's no payoff. We know immediately that she has like these powers, and she keeps saying that she keeps denying that she has the powers throughout the movie when she obviously knows she does. You know, it's so ridiculous to me, just awful. I don't know. To me, the best parts of this movie are the snippets of Brian De Palma's Carrie they added to it. So, I'm like, thank God they had those moments. I was watching this on Tubi and I was looking forward to the commercial breaks, So
oh, man.
I don't know.
I was able to see it. I have YouTube Premium, so I was able to see it for free. You still have to buy or rent movies on YouTube, so it might be free for everyone. I don't know on YouTube Movies, but it says it's like free. Maybe it's just one of those things that is free for members, but I don't know. I didn't have to watch commercials. To me, the worst thing about this movie was some of the way it was filmed, with like the weird like black and white every once in a while, like stop motion, watching a GIF black and white portions of it. It was kind of avant-garde, but it wasn't done like with any meaning, so it was a little like, I guess in a kind of a De Palma kind of way, it was a little masturbatory.
I mean, I will not sit here and let you talk about De Palma that way, but still you're right. And I know that this director has made some really good movies. I don't know about good, maybe I enjoy
De Palma is masturbatory. It has a meaning.
Yeah.
This person, it didn't. It was just like weird, random, artistic. There is one random like fast forward thing into the De Palma thing.
Yeah.
Luckily, that didn't happen in this one. But still, it was not really great.
I mean, Cat Shea made Poison Ivy, right? And it's a good movie.
Well, and to her credit, she had to come in and just start directing this thing, drop everything and direct it because the last one like quit.
And it's hard to pick up the pieces, especially when the movie's already floundering, know? So, yeah, I mean, God bless her for trying. Mm-hmm. And I mean, the movie made some money, right? And like we said, it has a cult following.
That previous director did dodge a bullet. So I have a fun fact for you.
A fact? One fact?
A fact.
A fact. What is it?
So during the filming of the climactic party, the bloodbath sequence, it took 3 attempts to shoot Rachel using her telekinetic powers to shatter the glass doors. So on the first take, Emily Bergl flinched, and on the second take, she showed her clenched teeth. So on the third take, they were able to finish the scene as they wanted it, with her showing no facial reaction. But real glass shattered by the blowers was used for the scene, and Emily received multiple cuts on her skin, back, arms, legs, and backside after the shooting of each take.
Oh my God.
Right? So she is deliberately not shown or filmed afterward from the back to hide her injuries.
Holy shit.
Yeah. And you can see it. You can see it filmed. They only did 3 takes because they had to shatter the whole wall of glass. And that's how most people, I think, in the party die, is that first big.
Yeah.
Yeah. And you can see it hitting her. And you do see her kind of flinch a little bit.
Oh my Lord.
Yeah.
I would have sued the shit out of these people.
She might have. We don't know.
That is terrible.
Yeah.
Well, that was an interesting fun fact. But we have some questions to ask about The Rage, Carrie 2, like we do about every movie that we deep dive into on the Film Flamers. And we'll start with, is The Rage, Carrie 2 a horror movie?
Sure.
I mean,
we'll give it that. It's certainly a movie. And it has horror in it. That's right.
I would even say that this is more of a horror movie than Carrie. So
I don't know. They both kind of end in horror, but they're not really horror throughout, Yeah. It's more of a drama. Same with Carrie. It's kind of has that same beat to it.
Maybe it's just that like the violence that like ramps up so much in this one. That's I think
it shows more.
Yeah, because by the late 90s you could show a lot more blood and things like that, and so it's just different. I don't know, but yes, I mean obviously it's a horror movie. Were you scared watching Carrie 2?
I don't think so. Certainly not when I saw that tattoo growing on her body for no fucking reason.
Well, I mean, she was using her powers.
No, I don't think I was afraid.
Yeah. I mean, I was afraid for other reasons. I wasn't scared, watching it, but
no.
No. I mean, not really scared. So out of 5 stars, what would you give The Rage? Carrie 2.
I give The Rage, Cassie 2, a 2.
I think I also gave it 2 stars, which is a low rating for me. Like normally I'm like,
that's your lowest rating essentially.
Yeah. Normally I'm like 3 stars, but I don't know. I was just like, I don't remember this movie being so bad. And I know that people like it, and I'm afraid I'm not afraid to shit on a movie that I don't care for, but I mean, like it's just not, it's not well made. It's not well written.
If I had seen it more in a vacuum, and this has happened to us before.
It's true.
If I had seen this in a vacuum, right after seeing De Palma's Carrie, seeing The Rage, Cassie 2 does not compare. You've got it like a TV director with not, a lot of cred, and then a horrible script, and the fairly good actors trying to do their best with it, but like bad story beats and weird connections, and it's just a mess. And to watch that back to back, I remember enjoying this film, but watching it right after the original Carrie is something else.
So let's talk about the franchise a little bit then. So we give Carrie high stars and we give Carrie 2 low stars. Where do you think the most recent remake fits in? Do you like that more than this sequel?
No, I actively disliked it.
Yeah.
Okay. I remember liking this one at first, back when it first came out 20 years ago. But when the last remake came out 10 years ago, I was looking forward to it because I loved all those actors, that were into it, and it didn't do much for me.
I would rather watch the remake of Carrie.
It was like going through the motions, the whole fucking thing.
Yeah, I mean, they were like just phoning it in. I would still rather watch that remake than watch Carrie 2 again.
Yeah.
I mean,
I'll have to revisit it because I had expectations and they weren't met. And certainly after seeing De Palma's again, like I want to maybe have some space before I watch that, just so I don't get angry.
Well, as it turns out, we don't have to watch any more Carries because we've done them all now for, at least like these 2, right? So I think we're good on Carrie. But before we head off to prom night, we have to talk about who the hottest guy is in The Rage. Cassie 2.
It's Carrie. So I'm going to say it's Dylan Bruno as Mark being the football player. Like, I guess he was captain of the team who owns the mansion or whatever.
The douchiest of all the football players.
Yeah. The one, he was actually smart though. Like, and he was also the boyfriend of our favorite chick in the film, Charlotte Ariana, as the Tracy.
That's right.
Or whatever. And I think that he was smart, but evil, but also hot.
He's very hot. This is also my choice for the hottest guy in the movie. He's so good looking in this.
Normally I choose the good guy, but this guy, his hotness transcended the good guys.
Yes.
Because he was so smart. He actually was very convincing when he was like, here's my cabin and here's everything I'm going to do for you. And I'm going to apologize to her and everything else. His ego got out of the way, like in his toxic masculinity. He was smart enough to like step aside all the other jocks in the movie who were stupid dumbasses, and like use it against people. And so it was kind of impressive in a way compared to all the other dumbasses in the movie.
Yeah. I mean, we're treated to Zachary Ty Bryan's ass.
Was that his?
In this movie. Yeah, because doesn't he tell him to throw a trou?
No, I think it was Dylan's ass because he was the captain.
Oh, I can't remember. I mean, it was someone's ass. Either way, I mean, like, we're given like a football coach who's like, drop trou, right? And like,
it's my favorite scene in the movie.
I'm like, fucking ass ahoy. But yeah, Dylan Bruno is so hot in this movie. Certainly not Jason London, Jeremy London, whichever London it is in this movie. I don't know. He doesn't even seem like somebody who would play football. He seems too frail.
I don't know. Well, certainly wouldn't have looked good with a shaved head.
He looks like more of a poet. You know what I mean? So,
a dead poet in a society.
Okay, that's enough. No more Rage Carrie 2. We would like to know what you think about this movie, though, and you can let us know on social media at The Film Flamers on Twitter, Facebook, or Instagram.
You can call us on our hotline at 972-666-7733, or you can email us at tiredqueens@filmflamers.com.
Please tell us what you think. It's okay. Call into that voicemail line, guys. They're all not going to laugh at you. It's okay. If you need even more Film Flamers content, head over to patreon.com/thefilmflamers to find all of our bonus content. We had another poll this month for our bonus episode, and everyone chose disturbing behavior.
Well, not everyone, but
not everyone.
Yeah.
A majority of people chose disturbing behavior. So we're about to go watch that right now.
It's true. And next week, we're bringing you our latest top 10 into high school horror.
That's right. It's been a while since we've done a top 10 episode.
Prom, lightning strike.
Well, Chris, I think it's just about time for me to go off and fluff my dirty pillows.
I pray you find Jesus.
I never will. But while I wait to, I'll have some sweet dreams. There wasn't enough dirty pillows conversations in this. They didn't even say those good lines.
No.
If you're going to make connections to a movie, be like, they're all going to laugh at you or something.
They did do it.
Did they?
Yeah.
I mean, I just completely blocked it out.
You're stupid.
Is that it?
We're done.